before you get to the ordeal, you know about that knock. That when they knock you out, you are in hell. They take you to NIA and get beat the hell out of you. So the next morning, he was in the habit. He's very decent, very clean chap. I think he was going to empty his pail. Maybe he wanted fresh air, whatever. He stopped by my cell door. Morning, uncle. I got up. I was terrified. His face, badly swollen, wounds, forehead, side cheeks, big.
Did you ask him how he sustained those wounds?
Yes, I asked him. He said last night they took them and they malhandled them at NIA.
Did he say who took them?
No, no, he knows who took them to you know the ones who take you to the gate. But the one who malhandled you, you know. In his case, he told me, I said, but like, you are a soldier, you are a very senior officer. Don't you know these people? He said, uncle, I cannot know them because they have a black cloth, sewn black cloth, a bit wide that they put over your head to your shoulders. Takako, you wouldn't see them. And already you are in handcuffs. You see, chap like lie, you cannot beat him in that manner if his hands are free. And so many others like him. So I noted, 5 days later, they knocked at my cell at around 1 a.m. So I knew what was going to happen. I came out, they took...
How did it feel when you had that knock?
Oh, I just concluded. Because, you see, Mr. Counsel, when there is a time in one's life when you are so much used to hardship, whether it's hunger, illness, or whatever, you tend to not assimilate. You tend to sort of get 50% immunity, or the fear, or whatever, drastically reduces because you are always expecting for the worst. So you really not like a new entrant or a new conscript or whatever. I was not very frightened. I knew that this is happening every night, so this is my turn today. And I've been seeing them, I've been going to shower with them, I know. So I was not frightened that much. I was expecting the worst. So I came out, they took about 4 or 5 of us, including Raif.
Do you recall the names of the other people? You mentioned Raif, and who else was taken?
And Baji. Baji used to claim relationship with Yaya Jammeh when he was NIA director, that he was Yaya Jammeh's uncle. His younger brother was a very good friend of one of my children. I forgot his first name. He used to wear a suit and a felt hat. He was head of the NIA. He was there.
And who else? You mentioned Raif.
And
what was the last name for Raif?
Diab.
Diab. And you mentioned Baji. Do you know his first name?
No, but I forgot, but I used to know.
But you say he's a relation of Yaya Jammeh?
That was what was said in the media, and whenever there was an occasion for them to interact.
Who else?
Well, I don't know the names of the others. I don't think I remember the names of the others.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 minutes to 4 p.m., but I just want to take an extra 10, 15 minutes to wrap it up with Mr. Cham. So, and then would give you time to ask a few questions. So 20, 30 minutes, we should be finished.
Please continue, Counsel.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Cham, what time was it? What time did they come for you, your set?
It must be around 1 a.m. or a little after.
How many of you were taken?
About 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay, you mentioned yourself, Mr. Diab, and Mr. Baji, Yaya Jammeh's relative, and who else?
Oh, I can't remember the names.
Those are, all right. And you were all taken together in one batch, correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us how you were removed from the cells up to where you were taken?
Well, just took us out, marched us to the office, guard room, they call it, near the gate, and told us that we were being taken for interrogation, and they handcuffed us from behind and help us to go to climb the vehicle and drove off to NIA.
What type of vehicle was this?
It was, I think, a kit car. It was not a big lorry.
And where were you taken?
We were taken to NIA headquarters after the arch.
In Banjul, right?
Yes.
And what happened there?
When we arrived at the stop point, we found many of them in a line, including their boss, Hari Sambu, at the time. And the vehicle stopped, and I saw Hari, whom I knew.
Time of the day was
it must have been around after 1 a.m., must be maybe 1:20 or 1:30 a.m.
Very late at night?
Yes, yes. So I recognized him among the lot. He was the only one I knew.
Who was that?
I recognized Hari Sambu.
And what was his position at the time?
He was head of the NIA.
By head of the NIA, you mean he was Director General?
Yes.
Did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, because I was like in Cloud Cuckoo Land. I called his name out. Said, Harry, what is all this about? He said, Uncle, don't worry, everything will be okay. And I saw him speeding, going away towards the offices. Then they asked us to come down. My friend, how can you ask me to come down when my hands are handcuffed from behind? Push!
You mean they pushed you?
Oh, yes, you tumble. And there was none of us who didn't have a bruise in his face and legs, hands.
So you mean you were pushed off the vehicle?
Yeah, because when they tell you, you ask, come down, you cannot just be like any free man, unfettered, and just go down. No, because your hands are handcuffed from behind and you're on top of a kit car. You have to try and see how you can jump. But they will not allow that. You tumble over. And then when you manage to get up, they ask you to double up. In my own case, I did try to jog a bit.
Did you sustain any injuries?
The guy who was behind me, you know what they call rompe in Wolof, football? From behind, kicked both feet, both legs. I rolled over, and the passage, you know, we had grass on either side, but the passage was concrete. I think I was a bit fortunate. My face had bruised, but I fell over on the grass, that for my head. But my hands and legs, I had long trousers, it got torn up. And then I was helped up. We went into a hall straight. We found one lady there.
Don't mention names.
No, I'm
sir.
not mentioning.
Don't mention any names.
XYZ.
Thank you.
I will not mention name because
yes,
I'm seeing some faces here and they're looking at me. Now, we found that lady there in a terribly severe condition of pain with another guy who was barely alive.
Before we get to that guy, do you know what happened to that woman that you found there?
That woman was naked, because if a woman is naked from the boobs or the nipple down, even if he has anything on top, he's naked, even a male. That woman, I thought, would never live, because what they did to her, they would not do to any man. Because when they handle women from Kosotelo and this woman, from what I see, what they do to women, they don't do that to men. They don't get to that extent with men. That woman was beaten by rifle butt, rifle-inflicted injuries, shots over her head, and during the process, on a number of occasions, Raif was wounded. They kicked his head, and there was a big, this thing here, wound, forehead. He had no hair, by the way, and he's a Lebanese, white. He was handcuffed, but despite his pain, on few occasions.
We would come to that. When you heard these cries from this woman,
She was just few yards from me.
how about the group that arrived? Did anything happen to you? Your group, did anything happen to you?
Beaten, one after the other. They had several of them torturing us. Each had his own torturers. We were it's a big hall, maybe about from here to here.
Could you tell us about that torture? Could you tell us about that torture?
When you come, you sit down, your hands are handcuffed, and you stretch your legs, and you put your hands in between your legs. And then the rest of your body is at the mercy of the torturers. Slaps, they beat you. It is there that this finger, I will carry it for the end of my life. And this, because when they come this way and want to hit you, you have to defend. Hand is always vulnerable in fights. So, no, it was very bad, you know. And that remained. There was one guy from Birkama, OJ knows his name. I think I was told he was either Sane or Bojang, tall chap. He was the one who tightened my handcuffs. And I told him it's too tight. He said, it's all right, it's all right. And he disappeared. Honest to God, to have taken a knife and cut me anywhere you want is better than that. I nearly died. My hands got swollen. I called and called, and they don't care. They pass you by. It's all right, wait. I don't book again in the Americans, things like that. By the time it was around after 4, past 4, they got us up and led us to through stairs to a small office up at the end of the hall. Sat us down. There was an array of them around the table, and they started giving us individual lectures. One can hardly know what they were saying. I told them, look, get the hell out of, remove these things, or you want me to die, or take me, you know. They tried, it was difficult to get the key, because this was swollen. When you see me like this, you will not understand. If you had seen that, you will know. He removed it, swollen. I could not do anything with my hands. There, they advised us, nonsense talk. You've been there 30 years, this chap, and his people are not even here. They are not even here for even 10 years or 5 years. For maybe you want to bring American blood. Nonsense talk that they have been saying since the time of the coup, that we had invited the Americans to come and remove them. Now,
you recall the names of any of those individuals who tortured you?
Well, I have to check, because I know this one. The ones who were kicking and beating me inflicted injuries on these little fingers. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know them. They come and go, and I don't know them.